2019, what some of you may refer to as the last good year. The year that had the Area 51 storming, the year in which we lived carefree without knowing how the next year is gonna bring the greatest pandemic in well over 100 years to humanity. The year in which the last good MCU movie came out. You guys must remember the antagonist from the second highest grossing movie of all time? You do, right? How could you not? It really is hard to forget that wrinkled eggplant who was for some reason a twerking sensation all over the internet a while back. Now, as far as villains are concerned, he seemed to get a lot of love from the fans. Why is that, you might wonder? Oh yeah, I remember. It was because apparently his aim was to bring balance to the universe. And how exactly did they intend to achieve that? By killing half the population. The only reason he is considered a villain is because his methods were questionable. His goal was pure. Well, not so much. As of right now, the human population is around 8 billion. It was 4 billion in 1974, so not even 50 years ago. What this implies is that even if we had killed half the population, we would be at the same exact stage 50 years later. He would never have brought balance to the universe, he would have only delayed the imbalance by 50 or so years. You might think 50 years of progress is a lot, and other factors could be different like the growth rate and whatnot, but even if you cut the growth rate in half, it would still take 100 years or so. But considering that Thanos was well over 1,000 years old and would have lived a lot longer if he didn't do what he did in Infinity War, he could have at least thought of one better way to help one life in the universe, at least one. Oh, and yeah, you could argue that the population growth rate of various species in the MCU could be very different, and Thanos, being the greatest antagonist that he is, actually helped those species. But considering that we can work off of the assumption that every species in the MCU has some sort of growth rate, like all life on Earth, he might have delayed the inevitable by a lot more than he did for humans, but ultimately, he would not have brought any balance. And besides, we, as humans, don't give a crap about other species anyway, so there's no point diving into that rabbit hole. Now, Thanos wasn't always the dumb shit that he was in the MCU. The original reason in the comics because of which he wanted to kill half the life in the universe was because he wanted to impress and bang the goddess of death. Which is, in my personal opinion, a completely valid and justified reason. I mean, hey, I'd do the same. Russo brothers, you can fool the entire world into thinking that Thanos was a good villain, but to me, you just turned him from a horny f*** into a dumb f***. No offense, but that's a big L.